What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're taking a look at Public Enemies, directed by Michael Mann, starring Johnny Depp and Christian Bale. Public Enemies tells the story of the FBI manhunt of John Dillinger, who is a famed American bank robber and gangster. Okay, that's the overall story of Public Enemies. Let's talk about it. Now, not having much of a history with John Dillinger, the real figure, I'm going solely based off what this film has to offer. And as a movie, I think Public Enemies is overall good. I think this is an overall very solid movie by Michael Mann. Michael Mann is a director who I have a lot of respect for. I like some of his movies, like Manhunter and Heat, and Public Enemies is a movie that I overall liked, though at the same time, I would not put it in the same regard as a Heat or a Manhunter. To tell you the truth, I think Public Enemies is a movie that is kind of low on the totem pole of Michael Mann's entire body of work. But does that make this movie bad? It doesn't. It's still an overall decent movie. It's got a really good cast. You know, Johnny Depp as John Dillinger puts on a really good performance. Christian Bale as Melvin Purvis, the man who is hunting down Dillinger, also did a good job. I thought Depp and Bale did really good as being co-leads, though I don't think their characters have enough interaction for me to feel a rivalry that develops between the two. That's one big gripe I have against this movie was that I didn't feel that I Dillinger and Purvis needed more screen time together for me to get a sense of a rivalry and for me to really buy the fact that Melvin really wants to take this man down. You know, at the end of the day, I know you. At the end of the day, this is a movie. Now you can take some creative freedoms to build up these characters and give me and do something with it. I don't think this movie did enough with it. That's just me personally. Uh, Marianne Cotillard plays a character called Billy, who is the love interest for Dillinger. I thought she was fine in the role. Her and Depp have enough chemistry where I buy the romance, so I got nothing against it. I thought it was fine. Uh, this movie boasts a supporting cast that includes actors like Stephen Lang and Billy Crudup. Billy Crudup, who actually plays J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI. The handful of scenes that he's in, I thought he was fine. Stephen Lang doesn't really come into the movie till it's halfway over, which I thought was kind of lame because I like Stephen Lang in the movies I've seen him. I think he's actually pretty good. And he actually plays this guy called Winstead, who's actually the guy who shoots and kills Dillinger in the middle of the street. And he has this really, really good scene with Billy at the end of the movie where he says "Bye bye Blackbird," which I enjoy. I like the ending of the movie. The final 10 minutes of this movie is actually pretty good. I enjoy it. It's very suspenseful. I thought Michael Mann's direction with the last 15 minutes of this movie was actually really good. Uh, Mann's direction in general throughout this movie is actually really good. Dante Spinotti, the overall cinematographer of this movie, did a good job. Did a good job behind the camera as well. The overall production value of this movie looks really good. It's really of the period of that 1933 time period, and the shootouts are actually really well done and are actually really exciting and exhilarating. Uh, my biggest gripe with this movie is that this movie was filmed with on digital camera, and the digital aesthetic does not fit this movie whatsoever. I think Michael Mann did a mistake by not shooting this movie on 35 millimeter film, and his decision to do it digital, it kind of gives this movie a very History Channel type of feel to it. You know how when you watch the History Channel and you're watching a documentary on a famous figure and they do scenes of recreation, that's how this movie looks. It looks like recreated scenes from the History Channel during a History Channel documentary on a specific thing. It looks really just phony. It looks really fake. It comes across as a made-for-TV stage play than it does an actual film, and I don't like the digital cinematography does not match the setting, the time period, and it just doesn't work with the overall story to me at least. I think Dante Spinotti as a whole did a good job as a cinematographer. It's just the digital look does not suit this movie. This movie should have been done on 35 millimeter film. I think it would have had a much better aesthetic, and I think you would have gotten more out of it. The digital look kind of makes this movie look ugly and unappealing. And like I said, it makes everything just come across as looking very, very fake. And I think the movie itself, does not benefit from that. Another thing, I think this movie runs maybe a little too long. This movie goes at an hour and 20 minutes. I think this movie should have been broken down to an even maybe 2 hours. I don't think this movie needed to be that long. I think if you would have cut down maybe we'll say 20 minutes or so, I think the pacing would have flowed much, much better. And, excuse me, and the narrative would have felt much more tighter. That's just how I feel personally. But yeah, overall, I do think Public Enemies is an overall really good movie. It's very, very solid, and I'm gonna give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. I do recommend it. I overall enjoy it, even though there are certain cases where I think the movie can be a little can drag in a lot of areas, and it can get kind of boring. It does have some good things to keep you occupied. The cast is talented. The shootouts are very good, and Michael Mann's overall direction, it works for the most part, despite the digital look of this film. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Public Enemies. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe. And I will check you back next time for more.